Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Unkillable, pieces that always work in performance or on recordings, that you just can't destroy, that just always make an impression and do what they're supposed to do. They are a unique series of pieces in our classical music tradition. They actually hearten me. It makes me feel good, because one of the things I've always maintained, even though we critics quibble over tiny, minute details, and so do you, by the way. I read your comments. Oh, the clarinet in measure 56 is slightly out of tune. That ruins the whole performance for me. The truth is, the classics are very hardy. They wouldn't be classics if they didn't survive almost anything we do to them. So in a way, this is just a subset of a larger phenomenon, which is that music is durable. I mean, it really is. But these are pieces that somehow just always sound wonderful, no matter what happens or what the circumstances are. And the work in question, in this case, is Beethoven's Pathétique Sonata. Sonata number 8 in C minor. Very interesting, actually, because the first work in this new series of unkillable classics was Tchaikovsky's Pathétique Symphony. So I guess the Pathétiques are pretty unkillable. Just name your work Pathétique and you're in business. Now, the actual, spelling, it's French, of course, which makes everything sound somehow more chic and sophisticated. But, it doesn't mean pathetic. It means dramatic. It means turbulent. It means emotional. And so we can't just think that it's like, ugh. It isn't. Not at all. It has a huge range of contrasts and emotions. And the Pathétique Sonata is in 3 movements. It's unbelievably well known. In every famous Beethoven sonata disc that has the name sonatas, you get the Pathétique, of course, because it's unkillable. That's the whole point. It's so beautiful. It's amazingly beautiful. It really is. It's based kind of on the theory of Haydn's drum roll symphony, which is you have a slow introduction that comes back frequently, like in the middle of the ensuing allegro. Even I played the Pathétique Sonata, and if I can play the Pathétique Sonata, anybody can play the Pathétique Sonata and get away with it. It's actually not all that easy. It's not simple. It has like runs and things that are complicated. And the slow movement, that gorgeous slow movement. Da, dum, ba, ya, da, 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 da. Oh, it's just so beautiful, right? That has like some issues with how to create a cantabile singing line over a perpetually moving accompaniment and balance the hands. And, nothing I could do. It was, but oh my God, it's just glorious. And there have been many dazzling performances of it, that's true, and many less dazzling performances, but even the less dazzling ones work. And one of the reasons this piece works so well, or all the pieces that are unkillable work so well, is that either they limit how much crap the interpreter can impose on them, or they are open to a huge range of interpretive options. The first movement reflects the latter, because there's a real question about what the relationship is between the grave, the opening slow, bum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, that business, and the ensuing allegro. Are they going to be essentially in proportional tempi, or is the opening going to be really, really slow and then the allegro takes off like a shot? Every pianist has their approach. There's the unified Germanic approach by people like Bachhaus, and then there's the really intense, gorgeous, beautiful but more Lisztian approach by Claudio Arrau or Vladimir Ashkenazy or one of those people. It doesn't matter. That's the point. It makes no difference. You can do anything in almost any tempo unless you completely reverse them, which nobody, not even Glenn Gould, did. And it's going to come off marvelously because the scheme of contrasts that Beethoven has invented for this movement is just so powerful. It just basically plays itself. The slow movement, it's very interesting. Even with period instrument people, I mean, they make the thing more eruptive, but the slow movement, you have no choice. It always almost always goes at a very similar tempo. I mean, most performances are within very narrow parameters because it just yeah, dum, dum, da, 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 da. There's only so much you can do. It's phenomenal. And then the finale, da 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 bum bum ba ba da dum ba da do do. Oh my goodness! I mean, again, you can't play it too quickly. That's about the worst thing you can do to it. But it invariably sounds. It just sounds marvelous. And so I definitely think that this belongs high, high, high on the list of unkillable classics. And it's all the more fascinating because it's a solo work. Unkillable classics, I think, tend to go better, or there are more of them in orchestral music because it's a corporate enterprise. And so, everyone has to cooperate, and the act of cooperation tends to smooth over possible differences. Yes, you can get demented conductors or incompetence and whatnot, but essentially, the corporate enterprise means it's an average. Whereas a solo work, God knows what's going to happen. It can do anything. And Beethoven sonatas are tricky, right? There are some that are up there on the list of things that are very killable, like the Hammerklavier, for example, even the Moonlight Sonata. I mean, that can really die. I mean, the opening Moonlight can be horrible. And then you've got that sort of minuet-y middle movement, which can sound kind of faceless, and the finale, which is very, very exciting. But it's very easy to kill the Moonlight Sonata, all things considered. I mean, it sounds moonlighty, but still, the Waldstein, oh my goodness, it's a minefield of tricky things. The Appassionata, all these ones with names, and then the late sonatas, where you've got like trills for ages and things. There are all kinds of difficulties in Beethoven sonatas, and all kinds of things we can point to indicate just how difficult they are to pull off in concert and on recordings. But not the Pathétique. Not at all. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.